All right, well, welcome back. So in this section, we're actually going to be diving a bit farther into this awesome world of regular expressions and actually beginning to look at a few more interesting and involved examples, as well as pulling in some implementation. So on the implementation side, we actually have a couple different toys that we can actually play with. I'm primarily going to be living in some Python code so I can easily implement some of these regular expressions and then write a couple just for loops to begin testing a whole bunch of things. If you alternatively want to work in some other online applets, there are a bunch of pretty nice sites that allow you to type out these little regular expressions and then kind of manually feed in a few test cases to see if they're actually going to be validated. So the internet is full with all kinds of resources that allow you to kind of build these old school little tools to kind of slowly let that process explode. Like I said, I'm primarily going to be living in some Python because it becomes pretty easy for me to copy and paste and move some things around. I also get this pretty nice website that allows me to showcase these little snippets of code. So the website that I'm actually playing on is up at the top of the screen, so it's called CoCalc, which if you've had some classes with me before, you've probably seen this site, and it allows me to execute a programming language that's called Sage. So Sage is actually a math programming language that takes all of the syntax of Python and then adds on a few extra fun math factoids that lets us kind of fully open up the can of worms that is computational number theory. So for us, we're just going to be looking at the nice little blocks of Python code within them, but it becomes really nice because I can execute these things directly in this little window, and then I can change things and then again execute it. I don't have to swap screens or any of that kind of stuff. I have this little tiny block, I execute it, and it exactly shows me what it's going to kick out. So what you can see down below is going to be one of our early little strings, so the number 42, so the 101010, and this question of whether or not it fits certain patterns. So the first thing that you can see, which is that top one right there, is I'm going to be identifying this regular expression as this little collection, 0, 1, in brackets with a star around it. What that's going to mean is that when I have these things in brackets, it's going to essentially give me the ability to identify what elements are going to be in that little set. So here I have a set that contains a 0 and a 1, and then I'm taking the star of that. So we know that that particular structure is going to give me any word or string that's made up with zeros and ones. I'm also allowed the empty string there. So we know for sure that 101010 is going to be living in that set. So that thing should in fact kick out a match, which you can see it actually does. Notice that there's going to be a very important distinction between those brackets and these parentheses. So here I have 101010, so again, that same 42. And I'm asking, does it fit this structure of a parenthetical 0, 1 followed by a star? So the way that the parentheses are going to be treated with this star on the outside is that that's going to be asking, do I actually fit this pattern of having some copies of this little pair 0, 1? So here the things that are going to match are going to be the empty string, so the thing that doesn't have any of those, the string 0, 1, the string 0, 1, 0, 1, and then 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. And you can see that those are always going to have to come with little blocks. So here we know that 101010 does not fit that pattern, so it should kick out some type of failure, which it does in fact do. However, if I switch around the order of those things, so the 1 and the 0 now flip order, so I'm going to have the 1 first. Now it's actually going to kick out a true because 101010 does fit this pattern of having a collection of these 0 1s after each other. So I in fact have 3 of them, so that is going to be one of these words that's going to be recognized by that nice little regular expression. As always, parentheses are actually going to matter. So if you look at something that has the shape of a 1 followed by a 0 star, what's happening there is that strings that live here are going to have to begin with a 1 and then have any number of zeros afterwards. And as you'd expect, that does in fact kick out a failure because it should in fact fail because that does not fit that particular pattern. So the actual code for that is pretty simple. You're going to have just this identification of whatever string you're working with. So here I've called it Q. Then you're going to have this regular expression, whatever type of pattern you're going to want to look at. And then you're just going to throw it in this little match function. So you're going to have the regular expression followed by the word or string you're thinking is going to be matched. You hit execute on that, and it's going to either kick out this match or it's going to be kicking out some type of failure. And then you can do all kinds of crazy things in that these regular expressions can be massive and insane. You can begin to not only test one single thing, but you can test a list of things. So you're just going to loop through a bunch of objects, and you can do all of the crazy things you want to do afterwards. As I mentioned, there are other tools that you can play with. So in this one, you would actually just go ahead and type in your regular expression in that little top bit. And then the text that you would want to kind of test it against, you would type down below. And it would kick out some type of success if it actually worked, or it's going to kick out some type of failure if it doesn't work. As I mentioned, lots and lots of goodies that are going to be circulating on the internet. I'll put a nice little list of some other resources. Sometimes people like seeing some nice visualizations of how these regular expressions are all going to unfold. Some people like just diving into the nitty-gritty code. It's kind of nice to have a smorgasbord of things at your disposal. As I mentioned, I will be living primarily in this world of CoCalc just to give me some raw Python. If you just want to execute the Python on your own, you can obviously do that as well. There's nothing crazy going on here, though you do have to import something, so don't forget to do that anytime you're going to be creating a new document. So in the next video, I'm going to actually start up one of these things where we'll build the little machine, talk about the language for it, and then come back and actually test a whole bunch of things. And then we'll rinse and repeat that process a few times. Again, slowly building more interesting examples. So we're going to move away from some of these bit strings and actually begin this question of, is this a valid password? Is this a valid URL? Are all these kind of things that are classically around this notion of regular expressions?